Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trek on Tuesday. Happy first week of school to some of you. Happy second week of school to some of you. Happy last week of summer to you. For some of you, and maybe happy second to last week of summer for a few of you out there. Let us know.
Happy whatever the situation is where you are.
And Aaron is going through his own life change. His daughter, I don't know if she started school, but you just sent your daughter off to college.
I did. She just started classes yesterday. Yes, It's a very big deal, but not as big a deal as what we're going to talk about today.
We definitely wish her well. We wish her well out there on her first week of classes. But yeah, you're right. We
appreciate that. Yeah.
Gina, do you know not as big of a deal.
Do you know what I like the most about camping?
What?
It's intense. Because today's show, we're talking about tents, Gina.
No, that's funny. You know what is funny too is this is like a hard subject for me to talk about because I went to the doctor one time and I was like, I honestly feel like I'm two different people. Sometimes I feel like I'm a 2-person tent. Sometimes I feel like I'm a 1-person tent. And the doctor said, and I'll tell you what your problem is. You're just 2 tents.
Very nice. Very nice.
So it's hard for me to talk about this. No, just kidding. Yes. Absolutely. This is not a hard subject. Today is all fun, all games. And that's why we really, really, really need you guys to comment along for today's show. We're doing something pretty ridiculous and wacky, I'd say. Right, Aaron?
Yeah, it is pretty wacky. A lot of these... we're going to talk about different kinds of tents, but maybe what can we call them? Maybe not untraditional tents. How would you describe them? They're not really your typical tents, right?
They're like, that's a great question because it's like, yeah, they're innovative, but not in the way. They're not, the intention of these tents is not to get like sleek, rugged, right. It's like, there's just
they're
some
not necessarily the lightweight tents. They're not the lightest weight tents that you could take backpacking necessarily. As a matter of fact, some of them you probably absolutely could not take backpacking. Yeah, exactly.
And they all seem like a lot more difficult to set up than your typical tent that we would be recommending for you to take.
Yes, in many ways, they might not be the most practical camping options.
They're not practical. That's a good way to put it.
But some of them look fun, but really, that's kind of one of the reasons we're doing this, because we want to know what you guys think. Would you guys camp in these tents?
So we have 13 tents. We're going to talk about 13 tents. And as we go through, we are going to ask you, and you only have a few seconds to comment to let us know, would you try it or would you not try it? You can actually check out this story for yourself, maybe use it for a unit meeting, do it the same way we're using it. But you can go to go.scoutlife.org/fun tents. Behind the scenes, Brian has deemed them fun and unusual. I don't think we could have set it up better ourselves. And I think we just proved that we could not.
That's a perfect description. Fun and unusual.
Okay, the first tent is something called the tunnel tent.
This is the kind of thing that my kids, when they were Cub Scout age, I think would have really been interested in. What's interesting about this one is you can expand it, right? So you can see now what sort of a basic setup might look like. But these are made to be expanded into what the description calls an entire tent community. How funny is that?
So like you can set each of these up individually, or you run these tunnels between them. And like you said, tent community. I am thinking of somebody who would love this tent. Can you guess who it is, Aaron?
No, I don't know. I don't know who it is.
It's my dog.
Yeah. Oh, I was wondering about that too. Yeah, it might be fun for animals, right? For pets.
Yeah. It looks like a gerbil cage for giants.
It does.
For giant
like a large gerbil cage. We can't really say if this tent is going to protect you from bad weather or not. We don't really know. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe it won't. But I wouldn't necessarily count on that.
You guys have 60 seconds to comment if you would camp in this or you wouldn't. Let's give them something to comment with here, Aaron, so that we can tell, so they can type it quickly.
So the question basically is, would you or wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
Would you camp in this tent or would you not camp in this tent?
So what if they comment, I would or I wouldn't? I would or I wouldn't?
Perfect. Would or wouldn't?
Yes. And I'm going to start my timer right now. You have 60 seconds. Would or wouldn't?
All right, we got a couple of woods already right off the bat.
Yeah, so Liz would camp in the Gigwam. I love that she spotted the name. Wendy would.
Yep.
Liz, yes, said she would.
Well,
Caroline said she would.
Wouldn't.
Rusty's not
Our
into
first
it.
wouldn't.
Yeah, not into it.
Are we allowed to say what we think, or we'd have to wait till the end?
No, you can say what you think. Bob also would, by the way.
I think I'm with Rusty. I don't know that I would. I don't know. I think maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah. Marquita says would've. Interesting twist. I mean, like, if you had it set up and you asked me to camp in it, I probably would, but I don't think I'd opt to bring it. I don't know how you would transport this unless you were with like a bunch of families who. Actually, I'm taking it back. I would not. I did not want to be. I didn't want to be connected to other people.
So that's my thing. Andy, Rusty, and me, and maybe now Gina also.
Rusty doesn't like how big it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't know exactly, Rusty. That's a fair
Timer's
point.
up.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that's a little too much connection. When I go camping at night, don't need to be connected there. But
Liz makes a good point. Cubs would love this. So yeah. I'm thinking something like this would be fun, not necessarily for a camp out, but maybe at like a day camp, they could run through it. You could have activities in there or something.
I think that's a great idea. I think this will be sort of a fun game to play for kids, maybe, right? That maybe not a practical, actual camping experience. I think that's a great point.
Okay, so up next is the bicycle tent trailer. I bet you've never seen anything like this. When you're done with a long day of cycling, you just park this tent trailer and climb inside. It has everything you need. So this is like something you're pulling behind you on a bike. And it seems brilliant, but I'm just thinking, that's heavy.
Yeah, I wonder how, I wonder how much, how difficult it is to bike with this thing, pulling this thing behind you, right? I was just thinking more from a practical sense. Would I or wouldn't I camp in it? I think I would, but that's a good question though.
Would you bike with it?
Would I bike with it? Yeah. Would I want to drag it along with me on a bike trip during the day?
Well, Aaron, I'm going to start a 60-second timer right now. If you would camp on this, comment I would. If you wouldn't comment I wouldn't. I would or I wouldn't camp in this tent, bike trailer.
What would you do, Gina?
I am, and the same as you, like I would definitely sleep in it. It kind of looks luxurious, honestly. But I would not want to tow it on my bicycle, which is exactly what Liz is saying.
Yeah, I think Liz, I think I agree, bike. Liz. Now we don't have all the details, but you'd have to be a pretty strong cyclist to drag this thing with you on a bike trek, right? Or something like that.
Yes.
It could be fun.
I'm going to look up what the weight is right now.
Yeah, well, Gina's going to, I agree with Rusty. Yeah, I would camp in it for sure, but I'm going to say TBD on whether I'd trail it behind my bike. Andy, it does look heavy. I agree.
Okay, so I think this is a similar product. 48 pounds. I saw somewhere that said 50 or 68.
It's got to be that much, right? It seems about right to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're stopping the timer. 60 seconds is up. Yeah, I would camp in it if somebody else pulled it.
You're right. I think most folks have the same concerns we do. Looks like it's fine to camp in. Probably pretty good size. I mean, small, but still big enough for one or maybe two people. I don't know about dragging it with me.
I would. Here's the situation where I would do it.
Okay.
I am car camping and I need to go from my car to my campsite, which is approximately 300 feet away. Yeah. Or 20.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
Depending.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. Next up, we've got another tent. It's called the Solar Tent. And it's got 3 panels above it that are woven with solar threads that collect the sun's energy and provide power for lights and portable devices. I don't know the background of this tent, but it feels very Norwegian to me.
It seems like a decent idea, but I'm not one of those who wants to go. If I'm going to go camping in a tent, I don't necessarily want to have a plug inside there. I mean, I want a light to be like I want my flashlight. My flashlight is my light.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think I need to have, look at that. It's like a little screen on it where you can.
I think you're like your power panel if you turn it on or off, maybe.
Oh, Wendy has, I think
Yeah,
Wendy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Let me start the 60-second timer. Everybody at home.
Stop, Wendy, stop.
No, Wendy, you're fine. You keep on commenting. Don't ever stop commenting. You guys have 60 seconds to let us know, would you camp in this tent or would you not? If you would, comment, I would. If you wouldn't, comment, I wouldn't. Yes, now back to Wendy and her really, truly brilliant thought, Aaron.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what kind of light bulbs are in this thing, but anytime during the, warm months of the year, bugs could be an issue, right?
I'm wondering too, I guess, that's a lot of area for solar. I'm just wondering like how effective it is. Like it probably does power lights in the tent, but like you might have this expectation that you can plug your phone in or something. I'm not sure how it could do both of those things.
Does it last all night long? Does it store? Obviously there's no sun in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe it's storing it.
Yeah. Is there a battery that stores
I think I would. I think I would. Me and Ann are on the same page here.
Yeah.
Marquita also said would.
I'm going to go with Wendy. I'm going to say no, I think, to this one.
You're not in the minority. I mean, Rob says no as well. A new Rob.
Yes. Welcome.
Another Rob. Rob, welcome to the show.
We don't have enough Robs, yes.
Yeah, we love Robs on this show. Okay, are you guys ready for our next tent? Rob echoes, it would attract bugs. But
maybe I want to draw a real quick Liz comment. It would have been good for Jamboree. Agreed. Because it's out all summer.
Yeah, scouts could charge their phones.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay, this is a next tent is kind of similar to the first. It's called the Cot Tent. It's a modular tent that can be attached to each other or separated. I think what looks different about this is it is bigger. I don't know. Smaller hallways, bigger tents.
Yeah, I think this one is bigger than the last one. One of the questions I have about this concept is how much trouble is it to set them up and connect them together?
Yeah.
And also,
there's a lot of stakes there. I don't like the look of that.
Right. And one thing that you'll notice about this photo, Gina, look how perfectly flat that field is. Most campsites, maybe that's a little unrealistic. When I've gone camping before, I'm trying to find a space that's flat enough, just the 10 square feet that I need for my tent that's flat, much less. There's 4, I think it looks like there's 4 tents here with 3 patches. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to find a big enough flat area.
It looks like
to
a soccer
connect them
field.
all together. Right. Yeah. If you're camping on a football field or soccer field, this could work great.
NASCAR people camp. I know that.
Yeah.
This would be good for them. So I'm going to start the 1-minute timer at home. If you were watching, let us know if you would camp in this tent or not. Comment, I would. If you would camp in this tent, comment, I wouldn't. If you wouldn't, I have to point out something here. These tents that we're showing are not, this tent and the first tent, they don't allow to follow our safety procedures in scouting. And so I don't like that. And then it also just makes me think of like what a chaotic scene. It does seem fun for Cub Scouts, but what it would attract is Cub Scouts up all night. So again, I think this could work for like a daytime activity where you need some shade. You want to have some kind of fun thing in there. I think that it would be great for that.
Yes, exactly. Or, if it's a camp out, a non-scouting camp out where it's just your family or something like that, right?
Yes.
Like you're like a bunch of siblings or cousins or something like that. But I'm not sure.
Really good though, like you said, for like some kind of sporting event where you camp out, NASCAR, music festivals. I could see that.
Yeah. You need a large, flat, smooth set of ground that is not always that hard to find at a state park where I've used it on camping or even a scout camp or something like that. There's almost always, shrubs,
a big
bushes.
Family with Cub Scouts.
Yes, this is true. This is definitely true. Yes, absolutely.
That's a good point. Honestly, a big family with adult kids. Make them
absolutely
camp in there with you. They love it.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. This is really fun. Okay, this one's different. It is called the Stargazer Tent. It's got a transparent ceiling, so it provides a beautiful view of the stars at night while still protecting you from rain and insects. This is not that different than some smaller capacity tents that I've seen, but I'll tell you what I love about this tent in a minute. First, I'm going to start our timer. You guys have 60 seconds. Let us know if you would or wouldn't camp in this tent. Comment, I would if you would camp in the tent. Comment, I wouldn't if you wouldn't camp in this tent.
Can I say what I would do on this one, Gina?
Yeah.
This is my favorite so far, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Stargazing is one of the coolest things to do on a camp out. Cub Scout, Boy Scout, Scouts BSA, venturing, Sea Scout, whatever it is. Looking at stars is one of the coolest things to do. And on a really clear night, especially if you're somewhere relatively remote where you actually have like a night sky. My only problem is I might not get any sleep, so I would just lay there looking up at the sky all night long. I think this is cool.
So Sherry doesn't like it because she says it's too big.
It does look big.
I do like that element of it, and what I really like about it is that it is big. So for a situation where I want to have an air mattress or something, this is like a yurt, like a portable yurt into that. I still have to argue, if you're really into stargazing, I think you could do better than this. Now, if you're really into stargazing and you need a big tent for a variety of reasons, this is great. But there are so many tents that are basically made out of mesh, really high quality, timers up, that you could get and see even more of the night sky, I'd say. You could look like you're laying in right outdoors with a mesh tent around you, you know?
Yeah, and Liz points out, you could just lay down on a cot outside if stargazing is really your thing, which is true.
You could do a bug protector in a hammock or something,
yep.
I guess.
Yeah. I still think I would give this one a shot.
Okay.
If given the option.
Well, I'm curious to see what you think about our next tent. It is an inflatable tent, and instead of traditional tent poles, this tent is held up with inflatable tubes that take less than a minute to fill up. I'm really curious about the weight on this one. Guys at home, if you would camp in this tent, comment, I would. If you wouldn't camp in this tent, comment, I wouldn't.
So this is interesting. I think the advantage is that those when you take the air out of them, it's a lot lighter and easier to carry around than your tent poles. But I'm not sure that I would trust the durability of that. I think I would be afraid. What if it springs a leak? What if it pops?
Ian says no. Wendy says she would. Now I would if it was really durable and like you needed it for like a backpacking trek, and this was just a really light way to go. I like that concept. Andrew's into it too.
I like Liz. She says she wouldn't do it because she lives around cactus. Yeah, I'd be afraid to get poked by something and it would lose the air. I agree.
Yeah. Rusty's not into it.
Yeah, there's a reason why tents have support poles that are, sturdy.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think back
inflatable.
to, remember we did a backpacking tent episode? There were some different innovative ways. There are different kind of poles that people use, and I'm trying to think do they make durable inflatable poles? They might.
I think they're more inflatable, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, you're probably right. Okay, our timer is up. Sadly, we're on to the next tent, or maybe exciting if you like donuts. This is the donut tent. It's a tube-shaped tent, and it forms an open living space that's shielded from the wind, plus it folds down flat and can be carried on the roof of a car. I would like to see all this. It looks so space-agey to me.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to start the timer. You guys at home, let us know if you would camp in this tent by commenting, I would. Let us know if you wouldn't by commenting, I wouldn't.
Scotty asked, what's this thing called? I think it's called Camping Donut. Is that right, Gina?
This is the donut tent. The tent before that was an inflatable tent called the M Planet, I believe.
EM Planet, right? Mm-hmm. Am I saying that right? Yeah, right.
Yeah. Wendy would not camp in this. So guys, again, the concept here is that you kind of have like, if it's to scale, it looks like it's massive, and you have like a little living room kind of in the middle, and like pop-up door so you can go into the tube around it. So I think that's supposed to block wind. I guess if it was really windy. I'm going no. I cannot imagine what this is like to set up.
Yeah. I'm going to say no too, Gina. I'm not sure that I get what the advantage is really.
It looks to me like it telescopes into itself, and like you are going to be transporting like something like a big tube or something similar on top of your car. Oh,
yep.
Timer's over. People are all agreeing with us. They're saying they wouldn't. Well, Liz says she would. Liz is saying she would. She's into it.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for what's next?
Let's do it.
Aaron?
I mean, this one's a no-brainer. Right?
I know. I knew you were going to love it. This is a Death Star tent. There's really nothing else to say.
Really not. Yeah. Yeah.
If you would stay in this tent, comment, I would. If you wouldn't, comment, I wouldn't. If you say you wouldn't, you're going to make a lot of enemies. Well, 50% of the people on this hosting this will probably be your enemy. And then some of the people watching will also be very upset. So, you know, I won't even say anything. Aaron, what do you like about this one?
Well, I mean, you had me at Death Star tent, basically. Now I'm
Isn't
going
it evil?
I'm going to assume. Bad guy? Well, well, not necessarily. I mean, you know, some people on the Death Star were just there. You know, they have plumbers, they have IT guys, they have IT people.
Liz gets it.
Oh, Liz has a good point. Yes, it does have a fatal chain reaction.
Like, what movie is this? I think it's important to know what movie we're in.
There is a fatal flaw there that if you hit it at a certain part with a laser gun, it would cause a chain reaction that would bring the whole thing down.
Rusty is admitting to being on the dark side.
Yeah, I have a new hope too, Liz. I think it would work. I would do
it. Okay, that's just so funny. Okay, let's move on to the next tent. Also Chris has said a couple things about hammocking. I just want to point out we haven't really touched on hammocks yet, but some people go no tent. They go all hammock. We need to do a hammock tent soon. Okay, This next tent is called the Cot Tent. So instead of putting your tent putting a cot in your tent is the cot. So, you know, you're not really on the ground. Now, I'm going to start the timer and then I'm going to tell you guys what I think. Comment, I would if you'd camp in it. I wouldn't if you wouldn't. Aaron?
I think, so you mentioned earlier about walking from your car to your campsite. I think that's what this is for. And I think maybe you said 100 feet. That might be too far. But I totally would, assuming that I didn't have to drag it too far to get there. I think camping on a cot is so much more comfortable than sleeping on the ground, unless you have, I guess, maybe the best air mattress in the history of the world. I think a cot is more comfortable. I would totally do this. I'm not above throwing a cot in.
Wait, you think a cot's more comfortable than an air mattress?
I do. Yes, wow. I do think that. In my maybe I've been using the wrong air mattresses. I'm open to suggestions on that. Yeah.
Well, I give a cot a credit. The credit I give to a cot is that you can still use your sleeping pad, and that's much more comfortable than the ground. Right. That's for sure.
Right. Right.
I think this is pretty.
This is a good point by Rochelle there.
You need some serious wool blanket flooring, like in a hammock when it's colder out. That is true.
Yeah, she's saying when there's cold air underneath you, unlike if you're sleeping on the ground, right? Yes, exactly. That's a great point, and I 100% agree with that.
That is so true. When we moved into our house and we stayed on like a inflatable air mattress, we didn't have flooring in yet. It was cold like I could never imagine in Texas.
Right. Yeah.
But people really like this one.
Yeah. I would.
I think fan favorite.
This is not one you're going to take backpacking. You're not going to take this one to Philmont with you. But I think if you've got a car nearby and you don't have to take it that far.
Anywhere you'd bring a cot, you could bring this.
Agreed.
Anywhere you camp in a cot, you could camp in this.
Yes, summer camp. I think like a scout summer camp. Yeah. When you're going to be there for 5 days, 6 days.
Yeah.
I would.
Not bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think most people agree with that. Yep.
Okay, get a load of this one. It's called the Cocoon Tent. You feel like you're floating on air in this tent suspended between trees. It might be a little tricky to climb in and out of. Just based on the photo alone,
this one, I think, let me know if you think I'm misinterpreting this. You know, have you started the timer, by the way?
I just started the timer. If you're at home, comment, I would if you'd camp in this tent. I wouldn't if you wouldn't camp in this tent.
So the previous tent, we had basically a cot built into a tent. I think what this is basically is a hammock built into a tent, right? There's a hammock type structure inside. Obviously, you're not sleeping curled up in the bottom where it's real small. I think you're suspended, right? You feel like you're floating on air. So there is some sort of hammock type structure built into this tent.
It looks rounded at the bottom.
And exactly. And
it looks like there's just like a bed in it, and you're jumping in and you're kind of on the bed.
Okay. Could be that too.
A lot of folks saying they wouldn't. A few people saying if someone else slung it up. I'd say I would camp in it if I were showing up to a resort that like this one looks to be, and it was there for me.
Yeah, this almost looks like a beach type situation where you know it's probably going to be warm, in which case I bet This one would be nice and cool because you have cooler air underneath you. Agree, it could be a decent amount of work to set up.
Timer is up. I do want to call out Omid's comment. I think sometimes we are all thinking of where we live and what it feels like to camp where we are. Mm-hmm. And actually in Texas, if we had the trees for it, I agree with this comment. It's far from the ground. It can prevent insects from entering, and it can be a lot cooler in the summer, which is a big problem for us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
Okay, we have 3 tents left, Aaron.
These are interesting tents, Gina.
Yes. This next one, I am very curious how you guys feel about it. This is the bubble tent. It doesn't give you much privacy, but no other tent gives you a view of the stars at night. So all you stargazers, how do you feel about this one? How do you like the setup in there? I'm going to start a timer right now for 60 seconds. You have 60 seconds to let us know if you would camp in this tent, then comment, I would. If you wouldn't, comment, I wouldn't.
Yeah, this is borderline glamping almost, it seems to me. You've got like an end table with a lamp and a couple of chairs. I don't think I could get past, though. I guess you go change clothes in the bathroom, but I just don't think I could get past the lack of privacy. Well, even just being able to sleep, someone could walk right next to you when you're sleeping and look at you, and you'd have no idea.
That is so true. Actually,
I don't like that for me is a deal breaker, but maybe, for like backyard camping or something like that, maybe.
Right.
Like a Mars community structure.
This is something I argue about with my husband because he's not into glamping, and I'm, would rather kind of like have a mattress or something if it's an option. Just because you go glamping once doesn't commit you to doing it for life. Just because you sleep on a bed, in this cool little bubble once doesn't mean you're giving up all your rugged adventures to you guys who are against the glamping.
Something else about this tent and others like it is that I worry about, I worry about circulation because although I can't really tell, it doesn't look like there's any vents. So
that's a good point.
Unless it's really cold outside, I wonder if you get really stuffy in there pretty quick. I don't see any vents in there. Do you?
I don't, but sometimes these things can be surprisingly breathable.
Yeah.
I can't tell, but I don't know. That's a great point. Something a few viewers have brought up throughout the show. 2 more tents. We were talking about a bike trailer tent earlier. This next one is the bike tent. You don't need poles. This tent uses your bike to provide its structure, perfect for bike camping. This is similar to something we talked about when we were talking about bike camping just a few months ago, I want to say. I'm starting a 60-second timer. If you would camp in this, comment, I would. If you wouldn't, comment, I wouldn't. What do you think, Aaron?
So what jumps right out at me, and again, if I'm misinterpreting this wrong, let me know, Gina, but it looks like the seat of the bike has been raised way up to support the top of the tent on the left side of if you're watching on the left side of the screen. And it looks like the front tire of the bike has been completely removed. That seems, again, like way too much work.
I'm pretty sure people do that really easily, but I don't know.
Tire off the bike? I don't know either.
Because I think they're changing their tires and stuff sometimes.
Tire off of a bike to set up a tent.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, especially if you're like really serious about your bike and it's going to mess up your alignment or something. We heard a few possiblies, and now we're hearing a lot of I would not. Interesting. Wendy's point is she wouldn't because it looks small.
I was going to say that too. I agree with Wendy. I think it does look very small to me. This looks like definitely a single person tent. And in my experience, a single person tent is too small for a single person. That's always what I.
That is so true. That's another debate my husband and I have.
Yes.
He sees single person tent and he thinks, well, then two small people can fit in it, or double person tent. He thinks
one person can barely fit in a single. Yes,
and I say you need a 5-person tent for 2 people. What are you talking about? You mean us?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
No, absolutely. Okay, guys, this is what's that?
I was just because I agree with Rusty and Marquita and Wendy and everybody else on that one. But go ahead.
Before you show it, Brian, don't go to it yet. This tent has struck such debate on the internet. It is one of our most popular posts when we shared this tent directly. Can anybody guess what is going to be so unique about this tent? Drop it in the comments. What do you think? Think of your wildest dreams. What is going to be just the craziest tent you can think of? And we're talking a tent.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever seen one like this before. And I'm
Okay.
Well, I'll wait. I'll wait to say more until we show it. But
no one's gonna guess. I don't think anyone knows unless they're looking at the article right now.
I'm just trying to think of a situation in which you would want to have a tent like this.
Okay, Liz is guessing a 3-strap hammock tent. That seems reasonable.
That's too reasonable.
Just a little bigger.
You're thinking too conventional.
Okay, Rochelle says floating tent like a raft. That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. I'd
scary.
actually think that would be better than what we're about to show you. I'd be more likely to use that one. Yes.
Strong opinion. Okay, guys, we're going to reveal what it is. Do you want to say it at the same time, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. The 10
room
20 person tent. Yeah, this is a 10 room 20 person tent.
20 people. In other words, it's not even a single tent. It's 10 tents.
It's so big.
I'm just not sure. Yeah. And I think that, so to get an idea, you kind of lose a little bit of the scale, I think, as you can't see. But in the picture that's in the bottom right of the screen right now, each of those little rooms is 2 people. Yeah. There's a hallway. Each room has 2 people in it. So you can see how big it is.
Wendy said she would, but she wouldn't want to set it up.
Exactly. Who's going to set it up?
If it was set up for me, I like the concept. Liz says she would totally. It would have been awesome for Jamboree.
Another Jamboree, yeah.
Again, guys, we have just a minute left in the show, so comment I would if you would camp in this tent. I wouldn't if you wouldn't. Again, I am not exaggerating when I say this tent has sparked so much internet debate on the Scout Life channels.
And Rusty says not setting it up by himself. I agree.
Okay,
this is a multiple person effort, I think.
Would you? Let's say you're going to do some kind of an outing where this is an appropriate tent. Would you be willing to spend like $50 to have somebody else set it up for you? Would it be worth it to you? And it seems like if you're going with 20 people and you ask all of them for $5, you could give somebody $100 to set this up.
Yeah, you could. You could do that.
Would that be worth it to you?
I think I'd just rather have a regular tent.
Does it look a little like a jail?
I can see that a little bit. Yeah, I can see that a little bit.
Or like a pound.
I'm just not sure.
Really sad dog pound.
I'm not. So it looks like that hallway, like you say, is open. On each side. It's covered, but it's open on each side. So there's probably a decent amount of circulation in there.
Yeah. There's like windows you can open and close within the.
Yeah, each room
cell
has a window, right? Yeah, cells are. Yeah, we're not calling it a cell, right? It's going to be a no for me, boss.
Okay, it does look a little like a shower house, which is made to accommodate many people.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would. I think you could dress this up a little bit. It's kind of nice. Honestly, bet that the airflow is not bad at all because you can leave that whole center tunnel open.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, our folks at home, they're kind of split on it, just as we'd expect.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Aaron, this has been a fantastic show today. We do have a little bit of news about Trek on Tuesday. Should we share it?
I think now is a good. If we don't share it now, when will we share it?
Well,
it'll be too late.
Yes. Okay. Back in the early days of Trek on Tuesday, we went live every single day at 2. It was wild. It was wild times. And we called it Trek at 2.
Crazy times, weren't they?
Yeah. Then a few years later, we made it a special Tuesday show because we have other programs and kinds of communication we like to use the other days for, which shout out Troop Talk Live, shout out Cub Chat Live. So we moved Trek on Tuesday to Tuesdays at 2. Then we got a lot of good feedback from you guys, which we are always open to. And this show is flexible and it's here for you. And the good news is it's not going anywhere. Don't think that we're about to end Trek on Tuesday. But we did move it an hour later because you guys said move it an hour later. More of us can watch then. But we have seen that that's not necessarily the case. It seems like 2 might be our magic number, Trek on Tuesday at 2. So for us, 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
That is when the show will be taking place, at least for the next few weeks, as we just keep assessing what's the best time for all of you guys. So it's easy to remember if you're Central Time. Trek on Tuesday at 2. And if you're not, it's 2 p.m. Central. So, Aaron.
So that's an hour earlier. That's an hour earlier than what we've been doing for the last 2 years. Something like that. A year and a half.
No.
1 year.
Maybe a year.
Maybe 1 year. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Trek on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, if my math is right. Straight up noon o'clock, if you're West Coast time.
Yes, and you guys can always feel free to give us your input if there's a different day, a different time. We can look into it. We've got numbers to be able to research and see, hey, will that time work? So do keep us posted. But for now, we're going to do Trek on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Wendy, I love to see it.
Thank you, Wendy. Yes. Update your Alexa. So she will remind you of the right time.
May have I don't know if you can change the voice on Alexa.
I don't know if you can.
Can't on Siri. Yeah. Well, me and Aaron just changed our calendar invites, so we're in the same boat.
We've got
Wendy.
Our calendar updated, so this is starting a week from today, right, Gina?
That is right. It is going to be
that you see. Yep.
100%. It is going to be a good thing. It is going to be something you want to cheer for.
Okay, so in case you guys didn't know, Gina has discovered a new technology. Let's go ahead and let her get out of her system. Go ahead and throw out all the emojis. There we go. Someday I'll learn how to do this too. Right now I don't know how to do it, so I can't.
Sadly, our show has come to an end. But the good news is we'll be back on Friday for Cup Chat Live.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed our intense episode of Tents. See you Friday on Cup Chat Live. That is at 2 p.m. Central.
Just like all our shows.
Just like all our shows now. That's the good way to remember it.
Yeah.
Basically, all of our shows now at the same time.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.